A neuroscientist named Gregory Burns spent 15 years with a pug named Newton. They had their routines, the couch, the walks, the way Newton would press into his leg while he worked every single day without being asked. Then Newton's spine gave out, his back leg stopped working, and on the last day, Burns held him and watched his dog take one final breath and go still. And in that silence, Burns realized something that shook him to his foundation. He had never in 15 years known whether Newton actually loved him, whether any of it was real, or whether he was simply the person who opened the cans. That question would consume the next decade of his career, and the answer would come from a maze, 13 dogs, and a choice nobody expected. Point 1. Why your dog actually chose you. Here is what most people believe about why dogs pick a favorite person. They believe it is about who gives the most, who feeds them, who walks them, who buys the treats. You are half right, and wrong about the half that matters. Your dog is not tallying treats. They are tracking something far subtler and far more personal. They are tracking whose behavior is the most predictable. The person who responds the same way, most of the time not perfectly, just consistently becomes the person your dog's nervous system files under one word. Safe. And safety for a dog is not passive. It is not just comfort. It is not just familiarity. Safety is permission. Permission to relax. Permission to stop scanning the room. Permission to play. Permission to be fully themselves. And there is something else. Something most owners completely miss. Your dog doesn't bond hardest with whoever pets them the most. They bond with whoever is the most legible. Steady voice, readable body language, no sudden mood shifts that arrive without warning. Your dog is a fluency machine. They are drawn to the person they can decode the fastest. Think about that for a moment. Not the person who loves them the loudest, not the person who gives them the most. The person whose nervous system speaks a language their nervous system already knows how to read. And if that person was present during your dog's first 6 months of life, when their brain was still building its entire social architecture, that signal isn't just strong, it is foundational. It is the template everything else gets measured against. Point 2. The secure base. Let me show you what this looks like under laboratory conditions, because this is the kind of finding that sounds small and then doesn't leave you alone. A team at the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna brought dogs into an unfamiliar room and gave them a problem to solve. Puzzle toys. The kind where you nudge or paw something open to get a treat inside. Not complicated. Then they changed one thing. Who else was in the room? When the dog's owner was sitting nearby, not helping, not speaking, just there, the dogs worked longer, tried more strategies, engaged more fully with the problem. When the owner left, and a friendly stranger sat in the same chair doing the same nothing, the dog slowed down, lost interest, gave up faster. The stranger was perfectly nice. The dogs didn't avoid them. They just couldn't use them. Researchers call this the secure base effect. It is borrowed directly from human infant psychology. A baby will not explore a new room if their parent isn't nearby, not because the parent is doing anything, but because the parent's presence does something to the baby's nervous system. Lowers the alarm, enables curiosity, makes the world feel survivable. Your dog's favorite person at the deepest biological level is the person whose presence makes them brave enough to engage with the world. You don't have to do anything extraordinary. You don't have to be perfect. Sitting on the couch counts. Think about the last time your dog followed you from room to room for no apparent reason. Not asking for food, not asking to go outside, just staying close. That was not neediness. That was your dog carrying their secure base with them. And if this is already changing the way you see your dog, tap the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it tells me to keep making videos like this one. Point 3. The chemistry. Now you might hear all of that and think, okay, so my dog's favorite person is basically a security blanket. Familiar, comfortable, maybe even a little boring. But here is where it gets extraordinary, because this bond isn't just behavioral, it's chemical. And the chemistry behind it is something dogs appear to have developed specifically during domestication to use on us. A team at Azabu University in Japan brought dogs and their owners into a room and let them simply be together. 30 minutes. Petting. Talking. existing in the same space. Before and after, they measured oxytocin in both the dogs and the humans. Oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone, the same chemical that floods a mother's system during skin-to-skin contact with her newborn child. Dogs who spent more of those 30 minutes gazing into their owner's eyes had significantly higher oxytocin afterward. But it wasn't one way. The owner's oxytocin spiked too. The dog's gaze triggered the human's chemistry. The human's softened behavior. The voice change. The reaching out triggered the dog's A loop, running in both directions, getting stronger each time it fires. Then they ran the same protocol with hand-reared wolves. Wolves raised by people from birth, comfortable with humans. Wolves did not hold sustained eye contact with their handlers. No oxytocin loop activated, not in the wolves, not in the humans. This mechanism, this mutual gaze loop, doesn't exist between wolves and people. It doesn't exist between dogs and strangers. It evolved specifically in dogs during domestication, and it targets the exact chemical system that bonds a parent to a child. Your dog didn't learn to love you. They evolved too. And every time they look at you and hold your gaze for a beat longer than they need to, that system is running. Point 4. The brain scan. Which brings us back to Gregory Burns. After Newton died, Burns adopted a shy, skinny terrier mix named Cali from a shelter. Then he did something nobody had ever done before. He trained her to lie still inside an fMRI scanner, awake, unrestrained, no sedation, so he could watch her brain respond to the world in real time. Cali was the first. Eventually, the project grew to over 100 dogs. In 2016, his team ran the experiment that would finally answer the question Newton left behind. 13 dogs were trained to associate one object with food and another with verbal praise from their owner. Brain scans showed that in the majority of those dogs, the caudate nucleus, the brain's reward and anticipation center, responded to their owner's praise with equal or greater intensity than it did to food. Let that land for a moment. Your voice saying their name with warmth registers in their brain as powerfully as food. Then came the maze. Food down one path, their person down the other. 20 trials each. Most of the dogs went to their person, not all, but most. And the brain scans predicted it perfectly. The dogs whose caudate lit up brighter for praise were the same ones who chose the human over the food bowl trial after trial. And then there was Ozzy. Ozzy, a short-haired terrier mix, chose food every single time. 20 for 20. Burns said publicly and with a completely straight face Ozzy was a bit of an outlier. But Ozzy's owner understands him and still loves him. Every dog runs this calculation differently. Some are Aussies. Most are not. Point 5. If you're not the favorite, I want to talk directly to some of you now, because I know a portion of the people watching this video clicked it for a specific reason. You suspect, or you already know, that you are not your dog's number one. You do everything. You are the one who shows up. You are the one who remembers. And your dog still goes to someone else first. I need you to hear this. And it comes from the research, not from me trying to make you feel better. The secure-based data shows that the person a dog orients toward most isn't always the person who does the most. It's often the person whose nervous system most closely matches their own. A nervous dog gravitates toward the calmest presence in the house, even if that person forgets to fill the water bowl. An anxious dog attaches to whoever is most predictable, not whoever is most loving. That is not a judgment of your effort. That is a nervous system, finding a frequency it can read. And if your dog bonded with someone else during their first critical months, that wiring goes deep. You didn't fail. You arrived after the foundation was already set. But here is what the Vienna research also tells us. The secure base effect is not permanent. Dogs can and do shift their primary attachment. Not through grand gestures, not through buying better treats, not through trying harder in ways your dog cannot measure, through showing up again and again in ways their nervous system can learn to count on. You are not losing a contest. You are building a foundation. Emotional close. Slowest pace of the entire video. Warmest tone. Maximum weight. I keep thinking about Burns and Newton. 15 years on the couch together. 15 years of walks and leg presses, and routines that neither of them thought about because they just were. And then it was over. And the question that was left wasn't, was I a good owner? It was, did he know me? Did any of it register? Was I real to him? It took a decade, 100 dogs and brain scanners, and a terrier mix named Cali to get to an answer. And the answer from the caudate nucleus data from the gaze loops, from the maze, and from every study that followed is yes. Your dog knows you, not your name, not your job, not your failures or your regrets, or the things you carry that you never speak out loud, your scent, your rhythm, the way you sound when you are tired, the particular weight of your footsteps in the hallway, the exact frequency of your voice when something is wrong and when everything is fine. They carry you in their brain the way you carry them in yours. That is not a metaphor. That is what the scans show. And right now, wherever you are, whatever time it is, there is a very good chance your dog is somewhere nearby. Not because they have to be, because they chose to be. Every morning, they make that choice again. CTA. Tell me in the comments. What is the quiet, specific moment you realized who your dog's person was? Not the obvious thing. The small, weird, specific thing. Who they bring the toy to first, who they check on, when they hear a noise, where they position themselves during a thunderstorm. I read every single one. Subscribe if this changed something, and share it with someone who needs to hear that their dog already knows the answer. Music fades to silence.